Hello everyone and welcome to Felix's Space Time. In today's video, I have an interview with the Polaris Dawn Crew. We talk loads about their upcoming mission, the future Polaris Dawn missions, and more about their EVA suit. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Thank you so much to all of you for coming on here for another interview. First of all, I'd like to say congratulations on all your training so far. I've seen lots of pictures on social media. It looks amazing. Since we last talked, what's been your favorite part of your training?
I'd say I have loved the skydiving we did recently. We went and learned skydiving with the U.S. Air Force Academy, and it was 5 incredibly intense days. They put us through really intense ground school where they drilled both nominal contingency emergency procedures into our heads. We got tested in kind of like high stress scenarios to make sure that we could still execute when we were actually in the air. And then we went and did 5 solo skydives out of an airplane. And it really put to test our ability to execute under high stress, high consequence environments, really make sure to recall complex procedures and complete them correctly. And it was just a fantastic experience all around, I think.
Felix, we just started kind of the big joint simulation campaigns. So where we're in the simulator, but also all the operators on the ground, many of which were in roles that, Sarah and Anna would have previously done at mission controls. These are fun because we get to bring all the knowledge together, but then it's great to watch Sarah and Anna work, now having seen both sides of the equation of what it's like to be on a crew, like living through whatever the situation is, and then kind of how they would have done it before. So I'm especially enjoying watching them work right now.
And with the development of the suit, we're now doing a lot more simulations, going through the procedures, the contingency operations inside the capsule. So certainly challenging scenarios, and just working together as a team to figure out, who's got what role and how we handle these higher stress scenarios. It's been a lot of fun.
Sarah, what was your favorite part of training so far?
I think I agree with both of the things that have been said. I'm also really just enjoying seeing us develop the operation for the EVA and the roles and the communication and really what's going to go into this. It's really fun to work with a team on. And I don't know, we now have training suits that we're in, so we're spending a lot of time getting into and out of suits, and it's just been really, really great.
Amazing. That all sounds amazing. On the kind of note that Scott was talking about the suits, Jared, a big change between the Polaris Dawn mission and other Crew Dragon missions will be the spacesuit you'll be wearing. Can you give any updates on what that suit will look like? Anything from umbilicals to how the suit is being developed?
Well, I think we're trying to keep some of this a secret, or SpaceX is, until a future reveal date. But what I will say is the engineers at SpaceX that have been working on this have done such an incredible job. I mean, sure, they started with the IVA suit, but that's our last line of defense. You're not intentionally trying to put an IVA suit, outside the vehicle pressurized. That's something, a lot of stuff really went wrong if that winds up happening. So they started from it, but it's a totally different suit now. It's I don't know, it's got some big Hulk deal with it. It's certainly got its future. It's futuristic, but it has a lot of technology that they've incorporated into it that's very futuristic. I mean, it's certainly clear that they're keeping in mind that an evolution of the suits that we're now training in could be what people are walking on, the moon or Mars at some point in the future. So, it really totally, incredible how much progress has been made in essentially a year. I mean, they worked fast on the cupola before. This is 10x the pace. So it's awesome to watch it happen.
That sounds amazing. I can't wait to see what it looks like. Jared or Scott, whoever can kind of answer this next question. The launch date is currently set for summer. Is this still happening, and why was the date changed a few months ago?
We sure hope it's happening this summer. I mean, that is the official date, and everyone is sprinting really hard to get to it. I think that there's just a lot of rockets getting launched right now. I mean, that's part of it. You know, we feel really good at the pace of progress that the SpaceX team is doing to get the vehicle and the suit ready. Training is awesome. But like right now, you kind of have to arrive at a point that ensures that 39A has availability, to meet our mission requirements along with all the NASA missions. Plus, there's a lot of very cool Falcon Heavies getting ready to launch this summer, and it's been tight. And you need good weather. We have especially challenging weather constraints for knowing that we have to come back 5 days later. So summer's a good time for weather to launch. So hopefully it all lines up.
Amazing. Go on.
No, it's just a cosmic thing to think about is deconflicting the schedule and different launches to make all this happen. It's just a testament to the SpaceX team, the men and women of this organization, and what they're able to accomplish. And they're not stopping. It's being an outsider, getting a look behind the curtain. It's just an amazing operation and work that they're doing each and every day.
Definitely. The SpaceX team is amazing. I'm certainly excited for the launch, so I can't imagine how you guys are feeling. Sarah, can you tell me a bit about the training and what you've all been doing to prepare for the mission?
Yeah, we've been through a lot of different types of training at this point. We started with scuba, we've done mountain climbing, we've done a lot of the living in Dragon. We've done a ton of research and science training. We've done medical training. We've done now getting into the EVA training, as we mentioned. We've really tried to cover the full span of what skills we might need on this first EVA. I think we've looked for opportunities to find ways to challenge ourselves as a team and figure out how we can support each other through discomfort and stressful situations, and how we can really work together to bring the best operational team together that we can. So we're at this point, as Jared mentioned, we're kind of through a lot of the foundation laying, working on contingency scenarios, building up our emergency scenarios, and now we're starting the portion of our training that's really focused on the integrated simulation environment. And so probably here, pretty much through launch, we're working with the full team in mission control. We'll have all our operators down there. We'll be basically upstairs in our capsule simulator in suits, pressurization systems, talking back and forth, and the sim supervisors throw in whatever situations they think will test us and stress us, to make sure our responses are what they need to be for flight. So it's a pretty heavy sim campaign. That's what's coming up. But it's my favorite part of every training cycle. It's really when you get into the best learning, I would say, for preparation for space.
That sounds amazing. Jared, you've done obviously parts of this training before. Obviously it's not easy, but have you found parts of it easier now that you're kind of doing this kind of second time round?
Well, I think we have a lot of really ambitious objectives here that are very different from the prior mission, and we've assembled a crew to achieve those objectives. So I guess I'd say is areas that we all have familiarity, especially like Sarah and Anna. I mean, they wrote the training or the procedures and then taught it to me last time. So they're the ultimate subject matter experts. And so I'd say you're not spending as much time on those things that there's a lot of familiarity with, and you're spending a lot of time on all of the things that either haven't been ever done before, haven't been done in 40, 50 years, haven't been done in Dragon before. And those are intense. We've been training all week, and we've been getting back pretty late, pretty exhausted. And that's a decent amount of knowledge achievement. So I guess it speaks to a little bit of the challenges that, the exciting challenges that we have ahead.
Amazing. Scott, this next question is for you. In our last interview, You talked a bit about doing an experiment called an invasive ICP. Are there any updates on this, and is that still happening?
It's certainly progressing. It was a fairly significant milestones they have to go through to get this approved. They've already got the FDA approval, the IRB approval. Now it's just a matter of aligning the schedule to make sure that everything can be accomplished. So it's all still remains TBD, but it's just one of many experiments that we've got lined up. There's a lot of redundancy because that's one of the biggest challenges with spaceflight associated neuroocular syndrome. So we're going to do other less invasive experiments so we can learn more about it. Because that's one of our pillars, it's one of our objectives for this mission, is to kind of identify those challenges that we're going to have collectively with long duration spaceflight in the future, because we got to solve those challenges before we start sending astronauts and crews back to the lunar surface and eventually Mars. So, going to the higher altitude, one of our objectives, that's going to put us in the lower portions of the Van Allen belt, higher radiation levels. So that's just more and more opportunities for us to learn more about space.
Cool. Sarah, on the topic of experiments, can you tell me a bit about the scientific experiments going on board the Polaris Dawn mission?
Gosh, there are so many to talk about. We have partnered with about 23 different research institutions on, I don't know what the final count is, somewhere around 40 odd research experiments for the flight. So we certainly have spent a lot of time learning the protocols and the process that we need for execution. Maybe one of my favorite experiments, not only are we trying to identify things that work in the environment where, we have a unique opportunity to study that will benefit long duration human space flight. We also are wanting to figure out, like, how are we impacting the future of space travel in general? So for instance, we're going to be wearing glucose monitors in spaceflight. 10% of the population has diabetes, but that doesn't mean it should be something that needs to preclude that portion of the population. So how do we expand access to space, and how do we learn more to keep people safe while we're up there? I just think that's really interesting for how can we actually find the right medical knowledge that we need to ensure we can safely get more and more people up to space. But Anna, I feel like you've done a lot of the procedure development here. I'd be curious to hear your favorite as well.
I'd say, gosh, there are so many that I'm really excited about. One experiment that I'm really thrilled to get to do is partnering with the Air Force Academy. We're going to be growing plants and leaves in space, and so we'll be testing their ability to grow under various gravitational conditions, and bring more knowledge back to the teams there. Another one that I really am excited about is one in which we'll do some endoscopy, which is basically a camera that will stick down our nose to better inspect our airways and see if there's any inflammation or just changes to the airways that happen in the microgravity environment. This is something that's never been done before. And airway support is something that we will inevitably need at the point at which we are living with large populations on Mars. And so it's important to understand if there's actually changes that are happening in different gravitational environments in the space environment that would change the way we anticipate and prepare to help people medically.
There's a lot of cool ones. One that we're working through final approvals now could take advantage of that high radiation environment that that Kid was referring to previously. Actually use some of the background radiation and channel it for potentially diagnostic tools, which is pretty cool. Like literally being able to use some of the background radiation to potentially take factor if it works out. And then also that interacts with some of the experiments like the Air Force Academy one, where you do have all these little various leaves and these control like these test tubes and then seeing how radiation potentially impacts some of that, as well as, you know, other components to the experiment. So it's exciting. It's a 30, what are we up to? What's the list?
38.
38 experiments. So staying busy.
And counting.
They all sound amazing. I can't wait to see what you grow. Anna, now that training is well underway, has your experience at NASA and SpaceX helped you in any way during training?
Absolutely. I feel incredibly grateful for both those experiences. I think you know, something that comes to mind is when I was at NASA, I served as a biomedical flight controller. So I interacted a lot with like our medical hardware and software to support our astronauts on the space station. And so I've really leaned on that background when working with the various research experiments that we're doing on our mission, as well as working as the medical officer for the mission. And then I think the years at SpaceX have been wonderful. I think one, it affords both Sarah and me relationships with the engineers here, and the background to be able to lean on kind of history as to like the whys as to what the whys operations developed as they did. And so understanding like why the suit is this way, or why a fire response is this way. There's a lot of like technical background that we can lean on, both Sarah and I can lean on when we're interacting with the team here, and hopefully help the team in that way.
Wonderful. This next question is for you, Jared. Do you have any more information on the next two Polaris Dawn missions? I know you've flown over Starbase a few times, I think. Is it exciting to see the rocket that you'll fly on in a few years in development right now?
Well, I think it's exciting to see, you know, a rocket that could almost like change everything in development right now. I mean, at some point or another, flying on it is going to be, you know, an unbelievable experience and privilege. But really, you know, they're not building one of them. They're building hundreds, maybe thousands of starships across 2 different factories. And when you can reduce the cost to, you know, accelerate mass to orbit by such a material extent, like you don't even know what's in the realm of possible in LEO, let alone returning to the moon or Mars or exploring our solar system. So yeah, I mean, I think everybody in the space community should be pretty excited about what Starship can represent about our future. It's pretty, I mean, it's pretty exciting. Yeah, I mean, that'll be the third Polaris mission, is flying Starship. But you know, the second mission, there's a lot of you know, I mean, there's a lot of people talking about it. I've weighed in on the subject too, so I don't think it's a total mystery as to what we're working on. But there's obviously you know, more parties than just SpaceX and Polaris involved with making that decision. But I certainly hope it comes to be, because we really have so many good objectives on Polaris Dawn right now that you know, would make it you know, just a great natural building block for you know, for what could be the second mission. So so on that note, we're pretty excited. Hopefully we learn an awful lot about our EVA on Polaris Dawn and can leverage that for the future.
And that's the whole concept behind the Polaris program. I mean, we're still learning things, and we'll still continue to develop, and we'll lay layers and layers of, you know, like leaves upon each other, just to build upon this program for advancing the next one. So it's going to be an exciting future for sure.
Amazing. I can't wait to see, especially with Starship, the orbital flight coming up soon.
Yeah.
Jared, after kind of, will there be more missions after kind of the Starship Polaris Dawn, or will that be it?
I mean, the Polaris program was created to be, you know, up to 3 missions. But you know, that was, you know, I guess you never know what's possible, right? So you know, as we progress down the Polaris Dawn path, there are more ideas that are surfacing. Quite sure once Starship is operational, that's gonna, I mean, you know, I tweeted about it not that long ago. I mean, that to me is like prehistoric human civilization figured out, you know, body of water. The first boats. There's a lot of potential there when you think about it in the context of our solar system. So so like, who knows what's in the realm of possible, but I know we have like an incredible mission ahead of us right now that we're getting ready for, and the possibility, you know, and those that are, you know, going to follow. It's just exciting. We'll focus on that for now and see what happens.
Wonderful. Scott, are you all doing the EVA training, or will it only be a select 1 or 2 of you going on the EVA?
So we're working through the protocol for the EVA. We're all involved. We all have very specific roles. It's a team effort for sure. This is the first time it's going to be done from commercial capsule from the Dragon. So we're continue to develop the training and to make sure we're ready for the mission.
Wonderful. Anna, have you had any more ideas of sentimental items that you want to bring bring with you on the flight?
Oh, goodness. Certainly. I don't recall if I talked about this one, so forgive me if I did, but my son did develop this like construction paper rocket that he made out of like paper towel tube and construction paper, and he really wants to see it fly in microgravity, and so he asked me to pack it away. So I've carefully, packed it with like socks inside of it so it doesn't scrunch, and I'm really excited to get to release it once we're in microgravity.
That's amazing. Jared, will you be conducting any research on this mission to help out with the Hubble reboost?
I think we're, it's kind of, I was alluding to before, I think the EVA operation for Polaris Dawn we will attempt to incorporate, I would say, like secondary objectives that would help, increase the probability of success on a follow-on mission. So as much as we can learn from this operation, there's an awful lot to learn right from the get-go on a brand new suit. And venting a vehicle down to vacuum, which hasn't been done since the Apollo timeframe. So we're already off to a pretty good start in terms of, doing new things. But I do suspect we are going to incorporate some, secondary objectives that would help, de-risk a follow-on mission.
Amazing. That's all the questions from me. I have a few questions that people have put in on Twitter. So this first one's from John, who wants to know, will you all be doing the EVA at the same time, or to conserve Dragon's air, or will you be having 2 or more EVAs?
We will all be doing it together. So Dragon is just one space environment, and so when we go EVA, we'll need to like take the whole thing down to vacuum, and so with that, we'll all be in our spacesuits at the same time, all in that vacuum environment together, and then one person at a time will go out the hatch, but we'll all be sitting in that vacuum environment together, essentially, and executing the EVA together.
Amazing. This one's for you, Jared. So I know you've been interviewed by Tim Dodd a few times. Liam wants to know, what was your reaction and opinion when you heard that that Tim Dodd was going on Starship to orbit the moon in the future?
What a great choice. I mean, he's done such an outstanding job educating the the space enthusiast community on what is really challenging technical topics and making it so we can all understand it, and in the process I think like increasing our enthusiasm for this new space age that we're in right now. So I think he's more than earned this right. I can't really think of a better educator / communicator to go up and bring back that experience to the rest of the world. It's awesome.
Amazing. Jacob wants to know, are there opportunities kind of in the future for people to become involved in the Polaris program, such as internships?
That's a really good question. We haven't the team that's supporting Polaris Dawn is bigger than it was with Inspiration 4, but that means we went from like 3 people to 7 people. So we're pretty lean right now. But there are various events that we've actually, had a couple, aviation type interns. It's a good question. We should kind of think that through. And, Polaris programs can be around for a long time. We got another mission coming up and then another thereafter. So maybe that is something we should think about putting together. So good question.
Wonderful. The last question from Twitter, Bobby wants to know, aside from the EVA, what has changed with training since Inspiration 4? This will probably be a good question for you, Jared.
Actually, I would kick that one over to Sarah, since she had a good perspective to both now. So
Sure. I would say, we have a lot of the same training that Inspiration 4 did. You need to know how to live and work in Dragon, and you need to know your emergency responses. The biggest change comes in with the objectives that are unique to our mission. So for the EVA, we have an entirely different training program for that. We have very different science and research objectives. So there's a whole new and different curriculum there. Also, in support of the EVA, we've supplemented in different ways to really build the teamwork skills, mental toughness skills, things that will hopefully help benefit us as we step into this first commercial EVA. So mountain climbing and skydiving training, some of the new things from that mission. Am I missing anything, guys? I think those are the big differences, though.
Amazing. One last question for me that I've just thought of. Jared, you mentioned that there will be another series, a Netflix series for this mission. Has there been any filming so far, and do you know kind of when that will when the kind of the first episodes will begin to air?
Yeah, so there's been a documentary team involved. Actually, it's the same team that did the Inspiration 4 one, but I couldn't tell you that it's going to be Netflix or some other streaming service or when, because I think they're thinking about like the entirety of the Polaris program. So not really sure, how that plays out. But I'm happy it's being captured. And I know SpaceX is doing a really awesome job too, documenting a lot of things their engineers are doing here, like developing a spacesuit or making, Starlink connectivity capable on a, two objects traveling 17,500 miles an hour, through lasers. There's a lot of awesome stuff going on. So, how it ultimately makes its way to the public, I couldn't tell you for sure, but when it does, it should be pretty interesting. I mean, we're certainly finding it interesting to watch it all come together.
Amazing. That sounds amazing. I can't wait to watch it when it comes out. That's all the questions I've got for you today. Thank you so much for coming on here. For another interview. It's always amazing to talk to you all, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, Felix.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much,
Felix.
Felix.
Take care, buddy. See you.
Thank you.
Felix.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.